Shortly after celebrating the New Year near the Seattle Space Needle, I caught the Metro and Light Rail to the Seattle airport for my Asiana flight to Bangkok via Incheon, South Korea. After a 3-hour stopover at Incheon, our Asiana flight arrived at the Suvarnabhumi Airport, Bangkok, about 11 p.m. By the time I got through immigration, the airport rail had closed, so I took a taxi to the Majestic Hotel. While in Bangkok, I enjoyed visiting the 2023 Chinese New Year celebrations. I enjoyed the street foods and the dragon and lion dance performances. I was also able to see my regular dentist, Dr. Patchery, at Boomergrad Hospital, where I was expecting to get a crown based on my Seattle dentist recommendations. However, I ended up getting a filling for just $180.
และนี่คือเทพเจ้ามงคลหกหลกซิวความหมายของ
ชมครับนะการแสดงของเป็นผู้น้องครับจึงเป็นที่มาของกิมไซตุยหรือสิงโตทองหนึ่งตัวหนึ่งคู่นะครับนะดูครับมาแล้วยักษ์มองเหินไปหาปุกภูผาลุยวารีตามหาดอกไม้มงคลโอ้ลีลานี้ตุ๊กนาฬิกาครับเสียงปรบมือครับนี่ครับทายาทเด็กตาครับ
Since I was here last year, Thailand had legalized marijuana, and now Thailand has a new blossoming industry, with shops appearing everywhere in the cities, even with street-side vendors with card tables. It was then on to Ko Samet via Ban Phi in a minibus that took about 3 hours, plus another half-hour ferryboat ride to Ko Samet. Of all the islands in Thailand I have visited, this is my favorite because it's close to Bangkok, has many white, sandy, clean beaches, has comfortable food and sun lounging facilities, and has numerous inexpensive lodgings. The Chinese tourists still have not returned to fill up the large restaurants that had catered to them. This is called White Sand Beach in English. For my first week on Ko Samet, nothing was available at the new Blue Bay bungalows at the Ao Pudza Beach, So I stayed a week at the nearby Sea Breeze Resort at $23 per night, but with no sea view. Since 2004, I had stayed at the Ao Pudza bungalows every time I visited Thailand, but last year they had been torn down and replaced by the Blue Bay bungalows that are now under construction. While there, I again caught a mild case of COVID-19, so I just stayed away from people and spent days reading and lounging at the beaches. After returning to Bangkok, I took the first-class sleeper train from the new Bang Sue train station to Surin at a cost of $23, about the same cost of a hotel room. It was a very comfortable and clean ride. I took a 3-hour minibus ride from Surin to Krabi for $10 that took me to the Orange Resort. This resort was very comfortable and included a pool, but a bit far away from the beaches of Ao Nang Krabi, and cost $38 per night. One evening I attended the Krabi Muay Thai boxing stadium where they had 8 bouts, but there were few customers to cheer them on. Before they begin boxing, each boxer goes around the ring 3 times and prays at each corner, and then performs a war dance ritual that salutes the teacher, parents, and Buddha. It would have been a lot more exciting if the stadium were full of cheering crowds. Whenever I visit Krabi, I always take the 4-island tour that includes snorkeling. This time it was the PP Early Bird 4-island tour with hotel pickup and breakfast at our first stop, Tup Island. With this early tour, our second stop was to the popular Maya Bay, made famous by the book and movie called The Beach, starring Leo DiCaprio. It was not as crowded as it would become later in the day. Our boat dropped us off at the floating dock along with many other boats, and were given an hour to cross the island on the walkway and tour Maya Bay. At this park, boats are now prohibited from entering the bay, and swimming is not allowed. is an overhead drone picture of Pila Bay, where we stopped to snorkel among the fish, coral, and other swimmers. We again snorkeled near our next stop by the Viking Cave, where people farm for the bird nests used for making bird nest soup. During our tour, we motored by Chicken Island and Monkey Beach, but the monkeys were hiding from us. We then motored past the Phi Phi Island Isthmus to arrive at the Bamboo Island, where we snorkeled. We relaxed for 2 hours along with having a buffet lunch in the shade of the palm trees and near a group of spirit houses. Our last stop was Pota Island with its white sand beaches and was one of the closest islands to Krabi. As the sun set, these wannabe fire show performers were seeking tips from the crowd.
Welcome to the Blue Dragon Cabaret Show in Krabi.
I enjoyed this Ladyboy Cabaret show where the performers wore lots of sequined and feathered outfits along with skimpy ones. They danced and mouthed many popular songs as well as many Thai language songs. It was a good value for just $17. Just $6, I took a round-trip longtail boat from Aonang Beach to the nearby and popular Railay Beach that was now filled with restaurants, bars, resorts, and rock climbing schools. Railay had built up quite a bit since I was last here 5 years earlier. At the south end of Aonang Beach, I took a short hike along the walkways and stairs that they called the Monkey Trail after all of the monkeys that appeared for tourists' handouts. From Krabi, I took a speedboat ferry to Phuket, where I transferred to a minibus that dropped me off at the Carlson Hotel along Patong Beach. The 3-hour boat and bus ride cost just $20. Unlike last year, Bangla Street with all its venues was going full blast with music, beer bars, free ladyboy shows, and go-go bars despite the nightly early evening downpours. This stunning ladyboy show was free, tips welcome, and was supported by the surrounding bars. I especially liked the rendition of Proud Mary performed by a Tina Turner lookalike as an honor to the late Tina Turner. Proud Mary, keep on burning, and we're rolling, rolling down, rolling on the river. I caught the local bus to the Phuket City Bus Terminal, where I caught a local bus to Phang Nga, some 2 hours north. Everything was cheaper, with a hotel room at the Sleep Inn that cost just $18 per night and was across from this mosque. The Buddhist Tam Tapan temple was at the north end of town. Most of the restaurants were upscale food carts with seating. There were no menus, and the breakfast usually cost up to $1.20 and dinner up to $3. I signed up for 2 tours, One a tour of attractions around Phang Nga, and the other a long-tail tour of the surrounding islands, including Ko Hum, James Bond Island, Ko Phanak, and Ko Pani. The first stop was at the Dragon Cave Monastery that had characters that depicted heaven and hell. I guess it was to scare kids into following the Buddhist middle path. Really gruesome, and something I've not seen at other Buddhist temple sites in Thailand, but I have seen similar depictions of hell at some of the Chinese temples. Here is a view of the surrounding area at the top of the Dragon Cave Monastery. The next stop was at the Samdek Para Sir Nakarin Park, where they had passageways through the caves for both cars and people, and where a troop of monkeys frolicked. Our third stop was at the Swan Kua Cave that has a 50-foot reclining gold Buddha, and outside the cave it was surrounded by several troops of hungry monkeys. The following day was the Phang Nga longtail tour of the surrounding islands. I was supposed to join up with 4 other people, but 3 of them got food poisoning, so it was just me and Nikolai from France that joined our Captain Moke. We left at low tide and made our way through some very narrow mangrove passages out to sea, where we visited several islands and attractions. We stopped at the popular Ko Homji Island, where we followed others, many with hard hats, through the low-ceiling, water-filled cave and came out to the center of the island to a big area with very steep walls. This island and others seem to be riddled with caves from the eroding limestone. It was then on to our private beach, where we had lunch that was prepared by Captain Moke's wife. We then swam about for a while before continuing on our tour. We were the only ones to visit this island cave, which we explored cautiously with our flashlights.
Yeah.
Where you wear water?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe during the monsoon. It's a tuna, look.
We passed by a group of kayakers who were exploring the caves from the concession boat anchored nearby. We stopped at Ko Samet Island, a Muslim village that was built on stilts and filled with homes, restaurants, shops, a mosque, and a soccer court. In talking to the imam at the mosque, he indicated that most people that came here were fishermen from Indonesia who found this island, built homes on stilts that were convenient for fishing and safe from enemies. It was then on to the highlight of this trip, James Bond Island, formerly called Ko Hui, or Nail Island. It was named from a legend that a fisherman only caught a nail after fishing all day. When he threw it back into the sea, it magically returned to his hand. He then cut it in half and threw the half into the sea. The following day, this island appeared, and after that, they began to call it Nail Island. In 1974, this island was featured in the James Bond movie Man with the Golden Gun. We also visited the split rock that was on the nearby Ko Ping Island. Our boat idled through the Tham Lod Cave at the end of our all-day long-tail tour of Phang Nga Bay with its many beautiful islands. It was quite an exclusive tour with just the two of us, led by Captain Moak. On the way back, a woman got hit by a motorbike as she was trying to get a ride on our Songtao. In the morning, I caught a local bus to Kuraburi, where I would begin a 2-day tour with Andaman Discoveries to the Surin Islands. The tour began with a minibus ride from the hotel to the pier, where we boarded a big speedboat that seated 40 people for the hour ride to the Surin National Park headquarters. After lunch near the water, I was taken to my campsite with a beachside view of the Andaman Sea. My tent was among the many acres of tents at this national park site. They had provided a sleeping bag, mattress pad, and pillow for comfort. It was so hot at night, I did not need the sleeping bag. The bathrooms with hot showers and the dining room were nearby. After lunch, we headed out for our first of several snorkeling adventures. These waters were much clearer than those found in the Krabi area. While snorkeling here, I saw the following types of fish: butterfly, angel, trigger, parrot, and anemone. I saw the blue-lipped clams embedded in the coral, sea cucumbers, sea urchins, and the crown of thorns starfish. The corals I saw match up with their names: staghorn, cauliflower, mountain, brain, galaxy, honeycomb, leaf, and mushroom. On this trip, we visited the Ban Moken village. They are commonly known as sea gypsies. When the 2004 tsunami destroyed this village, the elders recognized the signs of the oncoming tsunami and evacuated the villagers to the surrounding hills. There were no casualties and the village was rebuilt. In 2019, a fire destroyed the village and they again rebuilt it. They have been nomadic people that the Thai government has helped locate on this and other islands. They speak their own language, believe in collective ownership, and aside from ancestor worship symbolized by the totems found at the entrance to the village, they have no religion. They currently continue to be hunters, fishermen, and gatherers, with tourism supplementing their well-being.
Yeah, come to look here, Richard, I will show you. Okay, first we can look your friend.
My guide introduced me to an elder who had warned the villagers about the 2004 tsunami. On our second day of snorkeling, we headed out in our speedboat along with others to yet another snorkeling site. At first, it was a bit murky and there were many black and yellow striped butterfly fish. Then we were in a crystal clear coral garden comprised of a variety of corals and small fish. I really enjoyed my time snorkeling and staying for 2 days in the Surin National Park. In just 2 days, I was able to snorkel at 6 different locations and visit the Ban Moken village. Although a small company, Andaman Discovery Tours did a great job subcontracting for all of the services provided during my stay that included all transportation, meals, and camping. The cost for these 2 days was just $200, including tip. I was going to take a series of buses for several days to return to Bangkok, but at the Kuraburi bus terminal, other travelers said I should catch the night train at Champon back to Bangkok, so I changed my plans. When I got to Champon, the only train accommodations that night were third-class seats. There were no first or second-class sleepers or second-class seats for the next 2 days, so I booked the third-class seats thinking how bad could it be. It was bad. Cooling was by overhead fans and open windows, which we had to close when we came to a downpour. At least I had a window seat that faced forward. I was glad to pull into the Bang Sue train terminal with the new MRT subway connection that eliminated walking across several train tracks like I did when I headed south 3 weeks earlier. I took the 6-hour bus from Bangkok to Trat for $8 and stayed overnight. Back on March 2020, I was heading to Cambodia, but the COVID-19 pandemic closed the border and all businesses in Thailand and elsewhere. This would be my first time since then to visit Cambodia. The following day, I took a 1.5-hour minibus ride to the Cambodian border at Hat Lek. I was surprised to be refused entry because my U.S. passport was expiring in 5 months. I was surprised to be refused entry because my U.S. passport expired in 5 months. They insisted on 6 months, even though I showed them my April 15th air flight return to the U.S. They still said no. After getting my 30-day visa extension for $30, I headed back to Ko Samet Island for more relaxing. I planned to stay at the Blue Bay bungalows, but it was full. Instead, I stayed in the village area at the clean and cheap Runa Runa Hotel for a cost of $21 per night during my first week. On Headside Q Beach, I noticed that the crowds were much larger than before, mostly because of the return of the Chinese tourist groups. I enjoyed frequent massages from Da at the Surin massage shop, eating at the many restaurants, and reading and relaxing on the lounge chairs on the white sand beaches. The second week, I stayed at the Blue Bay bungalows at a cost of $23 per night. I enjoyed walking south along the beach trail past the following bays: Ao Noal, Ao Cho, Ao Wang Duong, and Ao Thian. But the beach trail ended at this impassable rocky shore, so I returned to the Blue Bay bungalows. This game of Sepak Takraw, or kick volleyball, has 3 players per side, and they can't use their hands or arms to play. This Asian game has been played as early as the 15th century. This fire show was sponsored by the Sea Breeze Hotel, and the performers mix it up with the customers at the restaurant on the beachfront. The larger Ploi Talay fire show was along the Hadsai Q Beach that drew very large crowds to the varied fire show performances, with fumes of kerosene filling the air. I joined the 6-island all-day speedboat tour at a cost of just $18, which included lunch and snorkeling equipment. We left from the Hadsai Cow Beach. There were 30 tourists aboard, 2 Russians, 4 Chinese, and the rest were Thais. Our first stop was at the Ko Talu Island, where we viewed this arch before snorkeling and having our buffet lunch on shore. The snorkeling here was a bit murky compared to other places I have snorkeled. Perhaps it's because so many boats churned up the water. There were lots of these fish, and I was startled when I got a nibble from one of them. The next snorkeling spot was Ko Samet, where we lined up with several other speedboats. With all the comings and goings, the water was very murky, but the coral, clams, and fish were colorful. Following that, we walked ashore to Ko Island by picking our way through the rocky shoreline to relax on the beachfront. Our last stop was at two connected islands during low tides, Ko Platine and Ko Kam. This tour was a good way to end my 3 weeks of relaxation on Ko Samet Island, and as a concession for not being allowed to enter Cambodia. From here, I returned to Bangkok and then took a bus to Pattaya, where I wanted to participate in Songkran, the Thai New Year, for the first time in all my travels to Thailand. My Vogue hotel had a small Buddha along with a cup of water so guests could clean the Buddha to gain merit during Songkran. Pattaya is considered one of the best places to experience Songkran, which takes place in mid-April to celebrate the Thai New Year and the beginning of the rainy season. It's a time of cleansing the home with water as well as at Buddhist temples, usually using scented water on the many Buddha statues. Locals and tourists have expanded this concept to include massive water fights using water guns, buckets, and bowls of water tossed on anyone in the streets, and even spraying people from water trucks. There were lots of vendors selling various sizes of water guns from $3 to $30. Songkran ran from April 13th to the 15th. Every day it seemed like there were more people armed with these guns. Some people refilled their guns with iced water. They were the ones to avoid. The celebrations were focused on the tourist areas of Soi 6, short-time service bars, beer bars along Beach Road, Walking Street where go-go bars and discos are concentrated, and the LK metro area. While in these areas of Pattaya, there's no way to stay dry, as I quickly found out. People also applied a white paste to the face and necks of others as a blessing and a way to ward off evil spirits for the upcoming year. With Songkran winding down, I flew home to Seattle.